Have you ever tried to recall a conversation from years ago, and realized you can't remember the exact words, but you still remember how that person made you feel? Maybe it was the warmth in their voice when they encouraged you, or the sharp sting of their tone when they criticized you. That's because, in psychology, humans are emotional beings first, and logical beings second. We don't store words in our hearts, we store feelings. And those feelings shape our memories, our relationships, and even our identity. The science of emotional memory. Psychologists have found that emotions act like highlighters for the brain. Whenever we experience something emotionally charged, whether it's joy, fear, love, or anger, our brain releases chemicals like adrenaline and dopamine, which strengthen memory formation. In simple terms, emotions make certain experiences stick. You might forget a normal day at work, but you'll never forget the day you got humiliated, fell in love, or received shocking news. The amygdala, a small almond-shaped part of the brain, is responsible for processing emotions. When something triggers a strong emotion, the amygdala sends a signal to another region, the hippocampus, telling it, "Hey, this is important, remember this." That's why emotionally charged moments leave deep impressions, even when the actual words fade away. Why words fade but feelings stay? Think of all the conversations you've had in your life. You can't quote most of them word for word, can you? But you can remember who made you feel valued, and who made you feel small. Words are processed in the brain's language center. They're temporary, like ink that fades. Emotions, however, are processed in the limbic system, the part of the brain that ties memory to survival. So when someone's tone, expression, or action triggers a feeling, your brain marks it as important data. And because the human brain evolved to prioritize emotional survival, that memory stays. Real-life example. Imagine two teachers. One corrects your mistake harshly. "How could you be so careless?" The other says gently, "Everyone makes mistakes. Let's fix this together." You might forget the exact words either of them used, but you'll never forget how each moment felt. Years later, that emotional memory can still shape how you feel about learning, failure, and even yourself. That's the power of emotion. It doesn't just color our memories, it defines them. Emotional imprints in relationships. Now think about relationships, family, friendship, or love. When someone says, "I love you," those are just words. But when they show it through kindness, patience, or sacrifice, that emotion becomes unforgettable. In contrast, someone can say, "I'm sorry," 100 times. But if their tone feels cold, or their behavior doesn't change, your brain records that emotion, not the apology. That's why emotional intelligence is so vital. It's not what you say that leaves an impression, it's how you make others feel. Every word we speak carries emotional weight, and once released, it can either heal or scar someone forever. The psychology of first impressions. You've heard the phrase, "First impressions last forever." That's because they are deeply emotional. Within seconds of meeting someone, your brain unconsciously picks up their tone, energy, and facial expression. You instantly form an emotional judgment, safe or unsafe, kind or distant, trustworthy or fake. Even if you forget what was said during that first meeting, the emotional vibe stays etched in your memory. This is why it's often hard to rebuild trust once broken, because emotional memories can't simply be reasoned away. How emotions influence decisions. Every day, we make hundreds of decisions: what to eat, who to trust, where to go, how to respond. And here's a surprising truth. Most of those decisions are emotional, not logical. Psychologists call this affective reasoning, when your emotions guide your choices more than facts do. That's why an advertisement doesn't just tell you about a product's features, it tells a story designed to make you feel something. It might make you laugh, cry, or feel inspired, because emotion drives memory, and memory drives action. So, when you think back on a major decision, maybe a job you took, a relationship you entered, or a friend you trusted, what really influenced your choice wasn't a list of pros and cons. It was how the situation felt to you. Emotions shape our judgment, often without us even realizing it. The emotional signature of every memory. Every memory you hold, from your childhood to your present, carries an emotional signature. That's the unique feeling you associate with a specific moment. For example, the smell of rain might remind you of peace and comfort. A certain song might bring back heartbreak or nostalgia. A familiar street might trigger anxiety because of something painful that happened there. This is known in psychology as emotional conditioning. Your brain links experiences with emotions, and every time something similar happens, that emotion resurfaces automatically. It's why trauma, heartbreak, or joy can feel so vivid, even years later. Your mind replays the emotion, not the event itself. Emotional memories in relationships over time. In long-term relationships, it's not the daily conversations that define the bond, it's the emotional memories built over time. You might not remember every date, every text, or every compliment. But you remember how being with that person made you feel safe, loved, understood, or maybe unappreciated and unseen. That's why, when relationships end, people often say, "I just don't feel the same anymore." They're not referring to logic, they're talking about a shift in emotional memory. The emotional temperature of the relationship changed, and the brain noticed. So, if you want to keep someone close, don't focus on saying the right thing, focus on creating the right emotional experience. The dark side of emotional memory. But emotional memory isn't always beautiful. It can be heavy, even haunting. When someone hurts you deeply, that emotional wound can last long after the event ends. That's because emotional pain activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Your body literally feels rejection, humiliation, or betrayal. And sometimes, your mind replays those moments again and again, as if it's trying to protect you from ever getting hurt the same way again. This is how emotional trauma forms, the brain's attempt to remember the danger and prevent future pain. So, when someone says, "Just get over it," they're ignoring the science. Emotional memories don't disappear easily. They need time, healing, and often forgiveness to fade. How to create positive emotional imprints. The beautiful part of this fact, people remember emotions, not words, is that it gives us power. The power to leave people better than we found them. To make someone feel seen, heard, and valued. Here's how to do that consciously. 1. Be present. When you give someone your full attention, you tell them they matter, without saying a word. 2. Match your tone to your intention. Sometimes, it's not what you say but how you say it that makes the difference. 3. Use empathy over logic. People don't always need advice. Sometimes they just need to feel understood. 4. Express appreciation often. A sincere, "thank you," or a warm smile can stay in someone's heart for years. These small emotional investments build unforgettable connections. The ripple effect of emotions. Here's something most people don't realize: emotions are contagious. Through a phenomenon called emotional contagion, our brains mirror the emotions of people around us. If someone near you is angry, anxious, or joyful, your brain subconsciously mimics their emotional state. So when you make others feel safe, calm, or inspired, you're not just changing their moment, you're influencing the energy of every space you enter. You become someone people want to be around because your emotional presence feels healing. That's the kind of memory that doesn't fade, it lingers long after the words are forgotten. Emotional intelligence, the true skill of connection. In modern psychology, emotional intelligence is considered one of the strongest predictors of success and happiness. It's the ability to recognize emotions, both yours and others, and respond wisely. People with high emotional intelligence know that their tone, timing, and presence matter more than their vocabulary. They listen with their eyes and heart. They make others feel safe in conversation. And they rarely leave behind emotional scars. In short, they understand the truth. People will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did. But they will never forget how you made them feel. How you make people feel becomes your legacy. When all is said and done, when the words fade and the moments pass, what remains is how you made people feel. Every person you meet carries a silent emotional record of you. To some, your presence might feel like warmth, a safe place. To others, maybe tension or pain. The truth is, you're writing emotional stories in people's hearts every day, through your tone, your reactions, and your presence. Those stories live far longer than your words ever could. You might not remember every conversation you've had, but someone, somewhere, still remembers how your words made them cry. Or how your kindness made them smile when they were breaking inside. A mirror to the soul. Take a moment and think. When people think of you, what emotion do they feel? Do they feel calm, inspired, respected? Or do they feel ignored, belittled, or dismissed? Every interaction you have, no matter how small, is a chance to leave an emotional fingerprint. And those fingerprints are invisible, but they shape lives. They shape reputations. They shape you. So when you speak, let your words come from empathy. When you act, let your actions carry kindness. Because long after the words are forgotten, the feeling will remain. Healing from negative emotional memories. Now, let's talk about the other side, the emotions you've been left with. We all carry memories that hurt. Moments when someone's tone, look, or action left a wound deeper than words could describe. Those moments can linger for years, living rent-free in our hearts. But here's the truth psychology teaches us. You can't change what happened, but you can reframe how your brain holds it. When you choose to forgive, not to excuse, but to release, your brain begins rewriting that emotional memory. It's called emotional reprocessing. You're teaching your mind that the pain no longer defines you. And over time, the memory remains, but the emotion softens. That's emotional freedom, and it's one of the most powerful forms of healing. Final reflection. The emotional mark you leave behind. So here's a challenge for you. After this video, as you go through your day, notice how you make people feel. Your family, your friends, your coworkers, even the stranger at the store. Ask yourself, am I leaving behind warmth or coldness, light or shadows? Because in the end, people won't replay your words, they'll replay your energy. And if you can make others feel safe, loved, or valued, you've already changed their world in ways words never could. Before you scroll away, pause for just a moment. Think of one person who made you feel something unforgettable. It could be love, peace, anger, or pain, but whatever it was, it stayed with you. Now, here's the challenge. Be that person who makes others feel peace instead of pain, love instead of fear, warmth instead of silence. If this message spoke to your heart, don't just watch and leave. Hit the like button. It tells YouTube that messages like this matter. Comment below and tell me, what's one emotion you'll never forget? Who made you feel it, and what did it teach you about people? And if you want more videos that open your mind and touch your heart, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss our next deep dive into the psychology of human emotion, love, and memory. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Because maybe, just maybe, your act of sharing will leave an emotion they'll remember forever. Remember, words fade, moments pass, but emotions, they live on in the quiet corners of memory. So, speak kindly, act gently, and always choose to leave people with a feeling they'll never forget.